Mr. Speaker, on January the 31st, Kaufman County, Texas Assistant District Attorney Mark Hasse had just pulled into work at the courthouse. He got out of his car and he started walking through the parking lot like he did every day. But Mark never went to the courthouse to prosecute any other cases. He was ambushed, sprayed with bullets, and murdered in the parking lot. Officials are still really uncertain who murdered him. And then on March the 19th, just after supper time in Colorado, the top prison chief, Tom Clements, heard a knock at his door. When he opened the door, he was shot point blank, and he died in the doorway of his own home in his own blood. Clements' suspected killer, Abel, resurfaced in Texas weeks later and died in a shootout with law enforcement officers in North Texas because he promised that he would not ever return to prison. 11 days later, back in Kaufman County, Texas, District Attorney Mike McClelland and his wife Cynthia were sitting at home when their home was invaded by intruders. Mike was shot 20 times, and his wife Cynthia was also murdered, assaulted, murdered in their own homes. The District Attorney, Mike McClelland, had vowed to bring the scum to justice that had killed his Assistant District Attorney, Mark Hasse. But the assassins got all of them first: 3 fallen law enforcement officers and 1 family member. And just yesterday, a woman in jail in Texas is accused of trying to hire a hitman to kill Assistant District Attorney Rob Fryer and also injure the District Attorney in Montgomery County, Texas, to mimic the Kaufman County shootings. These attacks really, Mr. Speaker, are attacks on the symbols of the rule of law in the United States. These attacks also hit home for me and others of us who have worked at the courthouse. I spent part of my life as a prosecutor and a judge in Texas. Bad guys come through the courthouse charged with everything from stealing to killing. And I, like many others, had threats on several occasions. Fortunate for me, law enforcement officers in Houston, Texas made sure those threats were never carried out. But as we've seen this year, sometimes the bad guys are successful in attacking and killing folks that work at the courthouse. Law enforcement officials, prosecutors, and judges do the work that many people just won't do or will do. They deliver justice to criminals knowing that they face the threat of retaliation when they administer justice. These individuals enforce the rule of law for those who live outside the law. That's why I'm introducing the McCLELLAND-HASSE Line of Duty Act. Senator Cornyn has introduced a similar bill in the Senate. This bill would beef up protections for prosecutors and judges who are in danger of retaliation and who are threatened with intimidation. It boosts the punishment for killing these officials or their family members or conspiring to commit these crimes against these individuals. And the legislation also allows them to carry firearms on federal facilities and federal courts and other jurisdictions for their own self-protection. Courthouse prosecutors and judges risk their lives every day to administer justice and create order in our communities. This legislation promotes security for those that secure justice for the rest of us. And that's just the way it is. I yield back.